Tae-ho wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stared out the window of the salvage ship Lucky Star *. The vast darkness of space stretched before him, broken only by distant stars and the occasional debris. He had been a mechanic for 8 years, but the wonder of space never left him. Tae-ho, come to the bridge now. Captain Ji-hyun's voice blared through the ship's speakers. Tae-ho put down his tools and rushed to the bridge. The small crew of 5 was already gathered around the main screen. "What is it, Captain?" he asked. Ji-hyun pointed to a blinking dot on the radar. "We found something big. Not on any charts." The crew guided the Lucky Star closer. Soon, a massive ship came into view. It was unlike any vessel Tae-ho had ever seen. Where human ships were all sharp angles and practical design, this one had smooth curves that seemed to flow like water. The hull was a deep purple color with lines of soft blue light running along its surface. "It's alien," said Du-hyun, the navigator, "and it's dead in the water." Captain Ji-hyun smiled. "Perfect. No distress signals, no life signs. This is going to make us rich." "We should check for survivors," Tae-ho said. Ji-hyun shook her head. "Our job is to salvage, not rescue. The ship is clearly abandoned. We'll strip it for parts and be on our way." But something didn't feel right to Tae-ho. A ship this advanced wouldn't just be left floating in space. "Captain, please, just let me take a quick look inside." "We don't have time for 1 hour," Tae-ho cut in. "Give me 1 hour. If I find nothing, we'll do it your way." Ji-hyun sighed. 1 hour. Min-ho goes with you." Tae-ho and Min-ho floated toward the alien ship in their spacesuits. Up close, the vessel was even more beautiful. The hull material wasn't metal, but something that seemed almost alive, with tiny movements just beneath the surface. "I don't like this," Min-ho said. "Alien tech is nothing but trouble." They found an entry point, a circular door that opened when Tae-ho placed his hand near it. The inside of the ship was dark, with only faint emergency lights providing any visibility. "Air seems breathable," Min-ho said, checking his scanner. "Temperature is normal too." They removed their helmets. The air smelled strange, sweet, like flowers Tae-ho had never encountered. The corridors were wide and tall, clearly made for beings larger than humans. The walls had the same flowing design as the outside, with soft lights that brightened as they walked past. "This place gives me the creeps," Min-ho said. "Let's grab some tech and go." But Tae-ho wasn't listening. He moved deeper into the ship, drawn by some feeling he couldn't explain. The ship seemed to respond to his presence, lights turning on ahead of him and doors opening without being touched. They reached what looked like a control room. Strange symbols glowed on screens, and chairs too large for humans sat empty before them. "What happened here?" Tae-ho wondered aloud. Min-ho checked his watch. "We've been here 30 minutes. Ji-hyun will be getting mad." "Just a bit longer," Tae-ho said. Then he heard it, a sound so faint he thought he imagined it, a soft, rhythmic noise like breathing. "Did you hear that?" he asked. Min-ho shook his head. "Hear what?" "This place is dead silent." There it was again. Tae-ho followed the sound down another corridor to a sealed door. Unlike the others, this one didn't open automatically. "Help me with this," he said. Together, they forced the door open. The room inside was filled with strange equipment. Tubes and wires hung from the ceiling. Tables with straps lined the walls. It was clearly some kind of medical bay. And there, on the farthest table, was the source of the sound. A large creature lay strapped down, connected to machines that beeped weakly. It looked like a cat, but much bigger, the size of a tiger. Its fur was a deep blue with patterns that seemed to shift and change. It had 6 limbs instead of 4, and its ears were long and pointed. Most striking were its eyes, large, golden, and looking directly at Tae-ho with clear intelligence. The creature was alive, and it needed help. Minho, get Captain Ji-hyun on the radio, Taiho said, moving slowly toward the alien creature. Tell her we found a survivor. Minho backed away. This is beyond our pay grade. We should leave now. But Taiho couldn't take his eyes off the cat-like being. Its chest rose and fell with each shallow breath. The machines it was connected to blinked with red warning lights. Whatever was keeping it alive was failing. I'm staying, Taiho said firmly. You can go if you want. Minho hesitated, then hurried out of the room. Alone with the alien, Taiho moved closer. The creature's golden eyes followed him, full of fear, but also something else. Hope. Taiho noticed a small device on a nearby table. It looked like the universal translators used at trading posts. He picked it up and placed it near the alien's head. Can you understand me? He asked. The device hummed, then produced a soft, musical voice. Yes. You are human? Taiho nodded. My name is Taiho. I'm a mechanic on a salvage ship. We found your vessel drifting in space. I am Mira, the alien replied. My people are called the Velar. What happened here, Mira? Where is everyone else? Mira's ears flattened against her head. We were attacked. Pirates. They wanted our navigation charts. When they boarded, most of the crew escaped in life pods. She tried to move, but only her upper body responded. I was hurt in the fight. My lower body is paralyzed. They put me here to heal, but they left you behind, Taiho finished, anger rising in his chest. The captain had to make a choice, save the many or wait for one who might never walk again. Mira's voice was sad, but not bitter. The life support is failing. I have perhaps hours left. Taiho studied the machines around Mira. Though alien, he could make sense of some of it. One device monitored her heart rate, another seemed to be providing medicine, and a third was supporting her breathing. I might be able to help, he said. I'm good with machines. You would help me. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. Just then, Captain Ji-hyun's voice came through Taiho's radio. Taiho, I'm ordering you back to the ship now. Minho says you found some kind of alien cat. Leave it. We're not equipped for this. Taiho ignored her. What do you need to survive, Mira? Mira's eyes blinked slowly. The purple fluid in that container keeps my nervous system functioning. The blue one is for pain. The breathing support can be disconnected if I have both fluids. Taiho examined the containers. They were nearly empty. Do you have more of these? In storage, 3 doors down on the right. Captain Ji-hyun's voice grew angrier. Taiho, respond now, or we're leaving without you. Taiho finally answered. Captain, there's a living being here. I can't just leave her to die. This isn't a rescue mission. We could face quarantine for weeks if we bring an alien aboard. Then I'll stay behind, Taiho said without hesitation. There was silence then. You have 30 minutes. Then we're gone. Taiho rushed to the storage room Mira had mentioned. He found containers of the fluids and brought them back. Working quickly, he filled the machines that were keeping Mira alive. Thank you, Mira said. But this is temporary, without proper medical care. I'll find a way, Taiho promised. He studied the table Mira was strapped to. It had wheels. Can this table be moved? Yes, it's designed for transport. Taiho unhooked the unnecessary cables and began pushing the table toward the exit. I'm taking you to my ship. Mira's eyes widened. Your captain forbade it. Let me worry about that. Taiho smiled. I'm very good at fixing things that others think are broken. As they moved through the corridors, Mira asked, why risk so much for a stranger? An alien. Taiho thought for a moment. My grandmother used to say that kindness shouldn't stop at borders or planets. Pain and hope looked the same in any language. They reached the airlock where Minho was nervously waiting. Taiho, you can't bring that thing. Her name is Mira, Taiho said. And she's coming with us. Help me or get out of the way. Minho looked at Mira, then at Taiho's determined face. He sighed and moved to help guide the table. Together, they headed toward the Lucky Star and whatever consequences awaited them. Captain Ji-hyun was waiting at the airlock when Taiho and Minho returned with Mira. Her face turned red with anger. "What is the meaning of this?" she demanded, blocking their path. "I gave you clear orders." "Captain, this is Mira. She's a Velar. Her ship was attacked, and she was left behind because she's paralyzed," Taiho explained, still pushing the medical table. "She'll die without help." Ji-hyun crossed her arms. "Do you know what happens when you bring an unknown alien species aboard? Weeks of quarantine, fines, maybe even jail time. We can't just let her die," Taiho argued. Ji-hyun looked at Mira for the first time. The alien's golden eyes met hers, unblinking. "She stays on that ship," Ji-hyun said finally. "We'll call for a proper rescue vessel." "There's no time," Taiho said. "Her life support is failing. By the time help arrives, she'll be dead." Ji-hyun shook her head firmly. "My decision is final. Get back on board without that creature." Taiho stood his ground. "Then I stay too." The standoff lasted several moments. Then Minho stepped forward. "Captain, we could say we found her on the brink of death, that we had to bring her aboard for humanitarian reasons." Ji-hyun laughed without humor. "Humanitarian? She's not human." "But we are," Taiho said quietly. The captain stared at them, then at the ceiling as if looking for patience. "Fine. You have 1 hour to gather whatever you need from that ship. But she stays in the cargo hold, and she's your responsibility, Taiho." The cargo hold was cold and dark, but it was large enough for Mira's medical table. Taiho worked quickly, connecting the life support equipment he had salvaged from the alien ship to the Lucky Star's power system. "Will your captain truly allow this?" Mira asked weakly. "Don't worry about her," Taiho said, checking the fluid levels in the containers. "How are you feeling?" "The pain is manageable," Mira said, though her face showed otherwise. "My lower body still has no feeling." Taiho nodded. "I need to understand more about your condition. Is there any medical information on your ship? Records? Anything that could help me?" "There should be data in the medical bay computer. But can you read our language?" Taiho hadn't thought of that. "No, but maybe we can find a way." The door to the cargo hold opened, and Sunhee, the ship's engineer, entered. She was the oldest crew member and rarely spoke to anyone. "Ji-hyun says we're breaking about 20 laws," she said, walking over to examine Mira with curious eyes. "She's beautiful." "What species did you say?" "Velar," Taiho answered. "I need to get medical data from her ship, but I can't read their language." Sunhee pulled a small device from her pocket. "Try this. It's a data translator I picked up at Orion Station. Not strictly legal, but useful." Taiho took the device gratefully. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Sunhee warned. "Ji-hyun is calling our company right now. They may order us to abandon your friend here or face consequences." After Sunhee left, Taiho hurried back to the alien ship. The data translator worked better than expected, downloading and converting the Velar medical files into readable text. When he returned, Mira seemed weaker. "I found the medical data," he told her. "But I'm not a doctor." "On my world," Mira said slowly, "mechanics and healers are not so different. Both fix broken things." Taiho studied the medical files throughout the night. He learned that Velar spines were both similar and different from human ones. They had a remarkable ability to heal, but needed special nutrients to do so. As morning approached, Ji-hyun entered the cargo hold. "Bad news," she said. "Company says drop her at the nearest station, or we all lose our jobs." She looked genuinely sorry. "We'll reach Nova Station in 2 days." After she left, Taiho sat beside Mira. I won't abandon you, he promised. I'm going to build something to help you move, and then we're going to find a way off this ship together. Mira's eyes showed surprise. You would risk everything. For me. Tai-Ho smiled. Sometimes the right thing isn't the easy thing. He already had an idea forming. If he couldn't heal Mira's spine right away, perhaps he could build something to help her move despite her paralysis. He was, after all, very good with machines. For the next day and a half, Tai-Ho barely left the cargo hold. He slept on the floor next to Mira's table, waking often to check her vital signs. The Velar medical data showed that her condition was stable but not improving. Tell me about your world, Tai-Ho said as he worked on a small device at a makeshift workbench. Mira's eyes brightened. It is called Velar Prime, a planet with 3 moons and vast oceans. Our cities float on water and reach into the sky. It sounds beautiful, Tai-Ho said, smiling. What about Earth? I have only heard stories. Earth is crowded, but diverse. We have deserts, mountains, forests, and oceans. Some cities are beautiful, others not so much. As they talked, Tai-Ho continued to work. He had taken parts from the salvage pile, motors from broken droids, metal from discarded panels, and wiring from old computers. His hands moved quickly, connecting pieces and testing circuits. What are you making? Mira asked. Something to help you move, Tai-Ho replied. I studied the medical data. Your spine is damaged here and here. He pointed to 2 spots on her back. But your neural pathways are intact. They just can't send signals past the damage. And this device will help. I hope so. It's a neural interface harness. It will read the signals from your brain and bypass the damaged areas. Sun He visited again, bringing food for Tai-Ho and extra parts for his project. Ji-hyun is not happy with how much time you're spending here, she warned. I don't care, Tai-Ho said. We reach Nova Station tomorrow. I need this to work by then. After Sun He left, Mira asked, why are you doing this? You could lose your job. Tai-Ho paused his work. When I was a child, I broke my leg. For 3 months, I couldn't run or play. I felt trapped in my own body. What you're experiencing is much worse, and I can't imagine feeling that way forever. Mira was quiet for a moment. On my world, most would say it is not worth the effort to help one who may never fully recover. Then they're wrong, Tai-Ho said firmly. By evening, the harness was ready for testing. It was a framework of light metal that would fit around Mira's body, with small sensors that would attach to her skin. This might feel strange, Tai-Ho said as he carefully fitted the device around her. The harness powered on with a soft hum. Lights along its frame turned green. Try to think about moving your back legs, Tai-Ho instructed. Mira closed her eyes. Nothing happened at first. Then, slowly, her back right leg twitched. It moved, she exclaimed, eyes wide with surprise. Try again, Tai-Ho encouraged. This time, all 4 of her back legs moved slightly. The movements were jerky and uncoordinated, but they were movements. It works, Mira whispered, tears forming in her golden eyes. It actually works. Tai-Ho grinned. It's just a prototype. I'll need to make adjustments, but... He was interrupted by the cargo hold door opening. Captain Ji-hyun entered with Du-yun, the navigator. We'll reach Nova Station in 10 hours, Ji-hyun announced. They have a xenobiology research facility. They've agreed to take her. Tai-Ho stood up straight. What kind of facility? Will they help her recover? Ji-hyun looked away. They'll study her condition. As a patient or as a specimen? Tai-Ho demanded. The captain's silence was answer enough. I won't let you hand her over to be a lab experiment, Tai-Ho said. This isn't a discussion, Tai-Ho. It's an order. Ji-hyun turned to leave. Du-yun will stay here to make sure everything remains calm. After they left, Tai-Ho turned to Mira. We need to get you off this ship before we reach the station. How? Mira asked. I can barely move with the harness. Tai-ho looked at the parts still scattered on his workbench. I have some ideas, but we'll need help. He glanced at Du-yun, who was pretending not to listen. And I think I know where to start. Du-yun sat in the corner of the cargo hold, playing a game on his tablet. He looked up now and then to check on Tai-ho and Mira. Du-yun, Tai-ho called. Come see this. Du-yun walked over reluctantly. What? Watch what Mira can do now, Tai-ho said proudly. Mira, wearing the harness, slowly lifted herself to a sitting position. Her movements were stiff but steady. That's actually impressive, Du-yun admitted. I studied star maps, Mira told him. I was the best navigator on my ship. This caught Du-yun's interest. As the ship's navigator, he loved talking about stars and routes. Really? What systems have you mapped? He asked. As Mira and Du-yun talked about distant star systems, Tai-ho quietly worked on improving the harness. He added more sensors and adjusted the response time. By the time Du-yun's shift ended, the navigator seemed to have warmed up to Mira. I'll be back tomorrow, Du-yun promised as he left. I want to hear more about the sickness passage. When the door closed, Tai-ho turned to Mira. We might have a new ally. He seems nice, Mira agreed. Not like your captain. Tai-ho nodded. Get some rest. Tomorrow we'll be busy. The next morning, Sun-hee came to the cargo hold with food and news. We're 6 hours from Nova Station, she whispered. Jae-hyun contacted the research facility again. I overheard the conversation. And? Tai-ho asked. Sun-hee's face was grim. They're very interested in Mira's neural system. They'd mentioned a dissection. Tai-ho felt sick. We need to get her out of here. Now. The ship is locked down tight, Sun-hee warned. But there's a maintenance shuttle in Bay 3. It's small, but it could take you both away from here. Can you help us? Tai-ho asked. Sun-hee hesitated. If I'm caught. Please, Mira said quietly. I don't want to die on a table again. Sun-hee looked at the alien, then nodded. I'll disable the alarms on Bay 3 in 1 hour. Be ready. After she left, Tai-ho helped Mira practice walking with the harness. She could now move all 6 of her legs, though not quickly or smoothly. We'll need to move fast when the time comes, he told her. I'll try my best, she promised. An hour later, they were ready. Tai-ho had packed supplies and medicine for Mira. He listened at the door, then slowly opened it. The corridor was empty. They moved as quickly as Mira's condition allowed, heading for Bay 3. They were halfway there when an alarm blared. Intruder alert, the ship's system announced. Unauthorized movement in Corridor B. Someone saw us, Tai-ho said, helping Mira move faster. They reached a junction and found Du-yun waiting with a shock stick in his hand. Du-yun, Tai-ho said in relief. Thank goodness. Help us get to Bay 3. Du-yun's face was cold. I can't do that. But yesterday, you seemed to understand, Tai-ho said, confused. I was gathering information, Du-yun replied. The research facility is paying a finder's fee for unique specimens. My share will be substantial. Tai-ho stepped in front of Mira. She's not a specimen. She's a person. Du-yun raised the shock stick. Step aside, Tai-ho. The captain wants her alive, but she didn't say anything about you. Suddenly, the lights in the corridor went out. In the darkness, someone pushed past Tai-ho and there was a thud. When the emergency lights came on, Du-yun was on the floor, unconscious. Sun-hee stood over him, holding a wrench. Bay 3 is this way, she said calmly. Hurry. They'd reached the maintenance shuttle without further incident. Sun-hee helped Mira inside while Tai-ho prepared for launch. Why are you helping us? Tai-ho asked. Sun-hee smiled sadly. My daughter married an off-worlder. They wouldn't let her come home because he was different. Some rules need to be broken. The bay doors began to open. On the other side of the bay, Captain Ji-hyun appeared with security personnel. "Stop them," she shouted. "Go now." "Son," he urged, stepping back from the shuttle. Tai-ho sealed the door and fired the engines. The small craft shot out of the bay into open space. They were free, but for how long? The maintenance shuttle shook as Tai-ho pushed the engines to their limit. Behind them, the Lucky Star grew smaller in the view screen. "Are they following us?" Mira asked. She was strapped into the co-pilot seat, her harness helping her stay upright. Tai-ho checked the radar. "Yes, the main ship is too big to match our speed, but they're launching smaller craft." 3 dots appeared on the radar, moving quickly toward them. "Security drones," Tai-ho explained, "designed to catch smugglers." He turned the shuttle sharply, heading toward a cluster of asteroids floating nearby. The small craft darted between the space rocks while the drones followed close behind. "Hold on," Tai-ho warned as he flew the shuttle into a narrow gap between 2 large asteroids. One of the drones crashed into the rocks. The other 2 continued the chase. "The shuttle's comm system is beeping," Mira said, pointing to a flashing light. Tai-ho pressed a button, and Captain Ji-hyun's angry voice filled the cabin. "Tai-ho, this is your last warning. Return to the ship immediately. What you're doing is theft and kidnapping." "She's not cargo to be handed over to scientists," Tai-ho replied. "And she's not being kidnapped. She's being rescued. The research facility paid good money for." Ji-hyun caught herself. "For her medical care. You're ruining everything." "So it was about money all along," Tai-ho said sadly. "Goodbye, Captain." He cut the communication and focused on flying. The drones were getting closer. "I have an idea," Mira said suddenly. "My people study stars. The asteroid field ahead has special magnetic properties. How does that help us? Those drones use magnetic sensors to track us. If we fly through the field's center, it might confuse them." Tai-ho looked at Mira with newfound respect. "Show me where to go." Mira pointed to a dense cluster of asteroids ahead. "There. The magnetic field is strongest at the center." Tai-ho steered the shuttle toward the spot Mira indicated. The craft shook violently as they entered the magnetic field. "Warning. Navigation systems failing," the shuttle's computer announced. "That's the point," Tai-ho muttered. He switched to manual controls. Behind them, the drones began to spin and drift off course. Their programming couldn't handle the magnetic interference. "It's working," Mira exclaimed. They emerged on the other side of the asteroid field. The drones were nowhere to be seen on the radar, and the Lucky Star was now just a distant dot. "We did it," Tai-ho said, allowing himself to relax a little. "Where to now?" Mira looked thoughtful. "Nova Station is not safe. The Lucky Star will go there." "We need a place where they won't look for us," Tai-ho agreed. "Somewhere I can work on improving your harness and maybe find proper medical help." "What about Nova Haven?" Mira suggested. "It's a trading post 3 systems away. Many different species live there. We might blend in." Tai-ho nodded. "Nova Haven it is." He set the course and then checked their supplies. They had enough food and medicine for Mira to last a week. The journey to Nova Haven would take 4 days at their current speed. "Thank you," Mira said softly as Tai-ho finished securing her harness for the long flight. "No one has ever done so much for me." "We're not safe yet," Tai-ho reminded her. "Captain Ji-hyun might alert authorities. We could be wanted criminals now." "Then we are criminals together," Mira said, her golden eyes shining. "But I would rather be free and hunted than safe and caged." Tai-ho smiled. "Me too." As the shuttle sailed through the darkness of space, Tai-ho began planning their next steps. He would need to find work as a mechanic to earn money. They would need a place to stay. And most importantly, he would need to find better materials to improve Mira's harness. "What are you thinking about?" Mira asked, noticing his concentration. "The future," Tai-ho replied. "Our future. For the first time since he found her, Mira purred. The sound filled the small shuttle with hope. Nova Haven was unlike any place Tahoe had ever seen. The space station was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, with shops and homes carved into the rock walls. Beings of all shapes and sizes walked, slithered, or floated through the busy streets. "No one is staring at us," Mira said as Tahoe helped her navigate the crowded market. Her harness had improved during their journey, but she still moved slowly. "That's the beauty of Nova Haven," Tahoe replied. "Everyone here is different. No one cares where you're from." They found a small room to rent in the lower levels of the station. It wasn't much, just enough space for a bed and a small work area, but it was safe. "Now, we need money," Tahoe said. Finding work was easier than expected. Nova Haven's residents always needed things fixed, and Tahoe's skills as a mechanic were in high demand. Within days, he had set up a small workshop in their room. People brought him broken droids, malfunctioning equipment, and damaged tech from a dozen different worlds. Tahoe fixed them all. Word spread quickly, and soon he had more work than he could handle. "Let me help," Mira offered one evening as Tahoe worked late on a ship's navigation unit. "How can you help with repairs?" Tahoe asked, surprised. Mira's whiskers twitched. "My people have excellent senses. I can hear when machinery is not running properly. I can smell when circuits are overheating." Tahoe pushed the navigation unit toward her. "Show me." Mira closed her eyes and leaned over the device. Her ears moved back and forth, and she sniffed carefully at different parts. "There," she said, pointing with her nose. "The problem is there. The third wire is loose." Tahoe checked and found she was right. "Amazing. How did you know?" "It makes a different sound than the others, like a whisper instead of a hum." From that day on, they worked as a team. Tahoe did the physical repairs, and Mira used her senses to find problems that were hard to spot. Their reputation grew, and soon even ship captains sought them out. With the extra money, Tahoe bought better materials for Mira's harness. Each new version was lighter and responded better to her thoughts. 3 months after arriving at Nova Haven, Mira could walk almost normally. "Watch this," she said one morning, standing in the middle of their workshop. Tahoe looked up from his work and gasped. Mira was walking in a circle, smoothly and without hesitation. Then she jumped onto a low shelf and back down again. "That's incredible," Tahoe exclaimed. "The harness is working perfectly." Mira purred loudly. "Because you made it perfectly." Their success brought attention, not all of it welcome. A tall alien in a dark coat visited their workshop one day. He asked many questions about Mira's harness, watching closely as she moved around. "Who was that?" Mira asked after he left. "I don't know," Tahoe said, feeling uneasy. "But I didn't like how interested he was in your harness." That night, Tahoe couldn't sleep. He got up to check the workshop's security system and found it had been disabled. The door was slightly open. "Mira, wake up," he whispered urgently. As they crept into the workshop, they found 2 figures digging through Tahoe's tools and designs. One was the alien who had visited earlier. "Stop," Tahoe shouted. The intruders turned. The tall alien pulled out a scanner and pointed it at Mira. "Neural interface technology," he said to his companion. "Highly advanced. The bounty will be significant." "Bounty?" Tahoe asked, his heart sinking. "From the research facility on Nova Station," the alien replied. "They're offering a lot of money for the Velar specimen and the human who stole it." Tahoe grabbed a tool from the bench. "We're not going anywhere with you." The alien smiled coldly. "We'll see about that." The taller bounty hunter moved toward Tahoe, while the other circled around toward Mira. "Stay back," Tahoe warned, holding his tool like a weapon. "The research facility wants you both alive," the tall alien said, but they didn't specify in what condition. Mira's eyes narrowed. With a sudden burst of speed that surprised everyone, she leaped over the second bounty hunter and landed behind him. Before he could turn, she knocked over a heavy shelf. It crashed down, trapping the alien underneath. The tall bounty hunter pulled out a stun gun. Tai-Ho threw a handful of small parts at him. The distraction gave Tai-Ho enough time to grab Mira's portable life support unit. "Run!" he shouted. They raced out of the workshop and into the crowded streets of Nova Haven. Behind them, they heard angry shouts as the bounty hunters gave chase. "Where are we going?" Mira asked as they pushed through the crowd. "The docking bay," Tai-Ho replied. "We need to get off this station." They turned down a narrow side passage to avoid the busy main street. It was a mistake. The passage ended in a solid wall. "Dead end," Tai-Ho said, his heart sinking. Footsteps echoed behind them. The bounty hunters had followed them into the passage. "Nowhere to run now," the tall alien said, pointing his stun gun at them. Suddenly, a door in the wall slid open. A human woman with short gray hair stood there. "In here, quickly," she urged. Tai-Ho and Mira didn't hesitate. They rushed inside, and the woman sealed the door shut behind them. "Who are you?" Tai-Ho asked. "Name's Sunme," the woman replied. "I've been watching you too. Impressive work you've been doing." They were in what looked like a ship's cargo hold, filled with crates and packages. "Are you a trader?" Mira asked. Sunme smiled. "Some call me that. Others call me a smuggler. Depends on who's asking." Outside, they heard the bounty hunters pounding on the door. "That won't hold them for long," Sunme said. "We need to leave now." She led them through the cargo hold to a small but sleek ship. Unlike the maintenance shuttle they had escaped in, this vessel looked fast and well-maintained. The Shadow Runner Sunme introduced her ship proudly. Fastest ship in 3 systems. Once aboard, Sunme wasted no time. She fired up the engines and contacted the station for departure clearance. "Nova Haven Control, this is Shadow Runner requesting immediate departure." Shadow Runner "Departure approved in 20 minutes, came the reply. Sunme grinned. "We don't have 20 minutes. She bypassed the normal launch sequence and manually released the docking clamps. The ship shot away from the station. "They'll find me for that," she said, unconcerned. Not the first time. As they put distance between themselves and Nova Haven, Tai-Ho asked the question that had been bothering him. "Why are you helping us?" Sunme adjusted their course before answering. "I heard about a human mechanic with a Viller partner. Your repair techniques are becoming famous. But I also heard about the bounty on your heads." "And you want the bounty?" Mira asked cautiously. "If I wanted the bounty, I would have stunned you both and called the collectors," Sunme pointed out. "No, I have a better idea. I need a good mechanic on my ship. Parts are always breaking, and finding reliable repair stops is expensive." "You want to hire me?" Tai-Ho asked, surprised. "Both of you," Sunme corrected. The cat's hearing and sense of smell could be useful, especially when dealing with less than honest traders. Tai-Ho looked at Mira, who nodded slightly. "What's the catch?" he asked. "No catch. You fix my ship when needed. I give you transportation, food, and safety from those bounty hunters. Plus, I know people who might be able to help with your friend's condition permanently." "What do you mean?" Mira asked, her ears perking up. "I've heard rumors of a medical facility on Lumina Prime. They specialize in neural reconstruction." "Velar neural reconstruction." Mira's eyes widened. That's impossible. Lumina Prime is a Velar colony, but it was abandoned years ago." "Not abandoned," Sunme corrected. "Hidden. And we're going to find it." The journey to Lumina Prime took 3 weeks. During that time, Tai-Ho kept the Shadow Runner in perfect working order. Mira used her sensitive hearing to detect engine problems before they became serious. Sunme was impressed. "You two work well together," she said as they shared a meal in the ship's small dining area. Like you've been partners for years, not months. Tai-Ho smiled. It's easy when you find someone who complements your skills. Mira purred in agreement. Her harness had been damaged during their escape from Nova Haven, but Tai-Ho had repaired and improved it with parts from Sun Mi's ship. Now Mira could move almost as well as she had before her injury. As they approached the coordinates Sun Mi had for Lumina Prime, they saw nothing but empty space. Are you sure this is right? Tai-Ho asked, checking the navigation system. Sun Mi nodded. It's here. It's just hidden. She sent a signal on a frequency she had obtained from one of her mysterious contacts. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, like magic, a planet appeared before them. It had been hidden by some kind of advanced cloaking technology. There it is, Sun Mi said proudly. Lumina Prime. The planet was beautiful, with vast oceans and floating cities just as Mira had described. As they entered the atmosphere, their ship was met by smaller vessels that escorted them to a landing pad. When they stepped off the ship, a group of Velar was waiting for them. They looked much like Mira, large cat-like beings with 6 limbs and shimmering fur. Their golden eyes widened at the sight of Tai-Ho. A human, one of them said, sounding surprised. Here. Mira stepped forward. He saved my life. He built this harness so I could walk again when I was paralyzed. The Velar examined Tai-Ho's invention with great interest. This is remarkable work, said one who seemed to be a leader, especially for someone unfamiliar with our physiology. I did my best, Tai-Ho said simply. The Velar leader introduced himself as Rin. Few outsiders know of our colony here. We had to hide after the attacks on our homeworld. Mira was left behind on a damaged ship, Tai-Ho explained. I found her and couldn't leave her to die. Rin nodded. Come. Our healers will examine her. In a gleaming medical facility, Velar doctors studied Mira's injury and Tai-Ho's harness. They spoke in their own language, their tails twitching with excitement. Finally, the head doctor turned to them. We can heal her spine completely. The procedure is complex, but has a high success rate. Mira's eyes lit up. I could walk normally again. Without the harness. Yes, the doctor confirmed. But it will take time. Several months of treatment and recovery. Tai-Ho felt both happy and sad. Happy that Mira could be healed, but sad that their journey together might end. You should stay, he told her. This is your chance to be whole again. What about you? Mira asked. I'll continue with Sun Mi. She needs a mechanic, and I need work. The next day, as preparations were made for Mira's treatment, Rin approached Tai-Ho. Your device is fascinating, he said. Our scientists have been studying it. The way you connected the neural pathways to mechanical systems, it could help many injured Velar. It was just a temporary solution, Tai-Ho said. Sometimes temporary solutions lead to permanent innovations, Rin replied. We would like to offer you a position here as a technical advisor. Your different perspective could be valuable. Tai-Ho was stunned. You would let a human live among you. You have shown more kindness to one of our own than many of our own kind did, Rin said. Besides, Mira refuses to give up your harness even though she will be healed. She says it represents something important. Later, Tai-Ho found Mira in a garden overlooking one of the floating cities. I've been offered a job here, he told her. Mira purred loudly. Does that mean you're staying? If you want me to. I still need my mechanic, she said, her golden eyes bright. And Lumina Prime needs new ideas, human ideas. Tai-Ho smiled. Then I guess this is a new beginning for both of us. As the sun set over Lumina Prime, Tai-Ho realized that by saving Mira, he had found not just a friend, but a home. Sometimes, the greatest journeys begin with a simple act of kindness.